up, y'all? It's me, Erica, and we are down here. Peace, y'all. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. What's up, everybody? It's me, Erica, and we are down here to talk about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. Let me know you stopped by. All right, let's see. Last night's episode was very complete. It was very good. It was very full. I felt like it was like everybody had a scene. There was no group scene besides the man at the end. But I felt like everybody had a scene. I really enjoyed this episode. They start off where they left off from the last episode at the mozzarella party. And Teresa tried to say that Melissa was not open to Louis, which we know is not true. Melissa said that when it was time to introduce Louis to family, he was introduced to Melissa's family, which I think is kind of effed up when we kind of fast forward that the mother-in-law and sister, now I can see the sister, but the mother-in-law, especially how close Melissa's mom was to Nono, always with him. Whenever they were at a group event, she was right up underneath him. They were right up underneath each other. So I think that was kind of messed up, because if you truly honored your parents the way that Teresa acts like she honors her parents, then that lady who was very close to your father would be at your wedding. I'm just saying. Melissa says she's fine not being in the wedding. I'm fine. I'm done with all of this. I don't care. Again, like a narcissist in a relationship, you're never going to, nothing Melissa does is ever going to be okay with Teresa. It's not. It's never. So I'm glad that Melissa is finally understanding, and hopefully she can now, kind of progress into stop talking about Teresa in every scene. Because if you're fine with not being in the wedding, you're done being on the hook trying to fix anything with her, because you now understand that it's unfixable. So you're going to just exist, and then that's just what it's going to be. She's just going to have to deal, and you're going to have to deal. So hopefully her and Joe stop talking about Teresa, because honey, we are tired. All of us are tired of every scene being about Teresa. Okay. This is the last time we're going to talk about it. Then Teresa told her, do you want to be in the wedding? Girl, no, I'm not going to be no afterthought. No, girl, I'm not doing that. She was like, no, it's okay. She was like, well, do you want to be in the wedding? When she starts doing all that high pitched talking and shit, it's just a mess. So Teresa, Melissa was like, absolutely not. Everybody just started laughing like, girl, are you for real? Like, absolutely not. So, girl, we get to Dolores' house. Bitch, when Frank called that man Buzz Lightyear last year at the reunion, and then so now Paulie calls Frank Mr. Potato Head. Girl, it tickles me. It really tickles me. Frank lost weight. Did you see Frank? I was like, yes, he did lose weight. So he was in the hospital for a couple of days. So he lost some weight. I was like, okay, Frank. He says he's going to have a guy's night. He comes over, right? And when he comes to the door, he knocks and then he comes in. And she's like, girl, you're not going to be able to do that. We can't do that because Paulie was there, right? So you're not going to be able to just come in like there's somebody here. Like, that's just not, we're not going to be able to do that. And he talks about, yeah, I want to have a guy's night. I haven't seen the guys in a long time, so I want to have a guy's night. Do you want to come? He tells that to, I'm about to call him Buzz. He says that to Paulie, and Paulie was like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then he looks at Dolores and he was like, what are you looking at her for permission? And he was like, no, she was like, no, he's not looking at me for permission, but maybe we have something planned or whatever. And so he was like, basically, the dynamics of this relationship should not have only been explained to me by Dolores, but explained by you. You sent a woman to do a man's job. man to man, you should have came to me and said, but I'm going to say what Paulie, I'm going to elaborate on what Paulie should have said to Frank. As a man to man, because you know they all into that shit. So man to man, you should have come to me and told me the dynamics of your relationship with Dolores. Yes, she's going to tell me so that I can understand and come into this family like, okay, they're very close. The ex-husband and my new girlfriend are very close. So this is something I'm gonna have to get used to. But you should have came to me too. He says, I'm not a threat. He was like, you know, you asked a woman to do a man's job. He was like, but don't worry about it. I got her now. I agree with Paulie. You should have came to him and explained to him, not send Dolores to explain. Yes, Dolores is going to explain, yes, I'm very close to my ex-husband. He comes over. He still kind of watches after me, right? I don't know if it's guilt from how he treated her in the marriage. I don't know, but he's around and it's very comfortable and there's really nothing. So he's going to have to learn. Like I said last week, I feel bad for Frank, but you're just going to have to learn that this is her man and there's somebody there for her to do for her. But that doesn't mean that you stop being there for Dolores, right? You don't stop being there. She might draw some boundaries, but you don't stop being there for her, right? So now when you come over, you need to knock or tell her, come get the door. I'm about to pull up or whatever. Come unlock the door. I'm about to roll up. You just don't get to walk in my house anymore. There's another person here now. So they end up, he missed the photo shoot, right? So, because he was in the hospital. So he did his Easter Bunny photo shoot. I was like, look at, he was looking different. I was like, okay, he lost a little weight. He was all buff with them bunny ears on and that Easter basket. I love, Frank is a good sport. I love it. I love every minute of it. Melissa, Marge, and Jackie go out to eat. We know Jackie, she's gained a little bit of weight and she's asking, telling them like she's really trying to break down some issues and some barriers that she has with food, and it is taking some work. And I think that's good that she's a friend now. Although, we were able to see the beginnings of her getting, a hold on her eating disorder, but I do think that taking time off to just be a friend so that you can actually focus on that and get that done and not have that be under the microscope. Like you shared it at the beginning, that's good because other people are going through stuff like that. But then like taking a break, like still being on the show, but taking a break from your personal story, being a part of the show so that you can actually work on your eating disorder. I think it's great. Like, I don't think Katie Ross should come back to Potomac in the state that she's in. It's definitely not a safe space. I tweeted that last night. It is not a safe space for her. Real Housewives of Potomac is not a safe space for a person in recovery like that, especially after the way Ashley threw it in her face when she had lost custody and she was going through her things and she told her, you're not mentally ready to be on a show like this. So I think when there's things going on that you really need to recover from, wait till you're restored and then come back to the show. Luann did the same thing when Luann was in the middle of her divorce. She became a friend of the show, went through her divorce and came back to the show. I think it's good for them to do that. I think it's good for them to do that. Like probably Robin is going to do that. She's going to take a season off and come as a friend so Juan and what's happening over there at that school can get taken care of and then come back. Let's see. We'll see about that. So Jackie was like, tell me about the mozzarella party because I wasn't invited. And so they were like, yeah, she didn't invite you because she felt like you were judgmental, looking her up and down and stuff. She was like, I was looking at her up and down. Her outfit was a mess. It looked like she had taken her clothes out the hamper. She was judging her. And then later on, Danielle says, oh, good. Well, I made the right choice then. I was right. And that's what I said last week. I was like, she was absolutely right about how she felt about her. That's why you have to listen to it. You listen to your first mind. Listen to your first mind because she said it. I felt like she was looking me up and down. She felt it. Even though she didn't see her look her up and down, she just felt like she was a little bit judgmental. And that's why she didn't invite her to her party. And later she says, I'm glad that I went that way because I was right about her. She said she had on a horrible outfit. And then she was like, no, we need to be worried about Jennifer Aiden. Jennifer Aiden, I almost feel bad for her. She's in a downward spiral. Something is off with her. So we're trying to figure out what's going on, what they cooking up, child. What is wrong with Jennifer Aiden? What is going on with her? So we get to Rachel. Rachel is having a photo shoot with her daughter. I forgot how old she was, but she was coming for her birthday. 2. I think she was trying to put up a 2. She walked in there, honey, put her little dress on, little apron on, had her cake smashed and stuff like that. So while they were talking, and the photographer was snapping shots, Rachel and her husband are talking about, the journey of, she had a miscarriage, and for a long time, she said, like right after they got married, they got pregnant, and then she had a miscarriage, and it was very hard for her. I have never had that experience, and I imagine that it could be traumatizing, especially depending on where you are in your gestation. So when she was talking about that, I was just like, oh my God, girl. Ooh, the way she was just crying. And so they did IVF, and she has 4 embryos, and she's telling her husband she wants to have 2 more, I think she said, so they could have 4 children altogether. And he was like, wait, what? And she was like, what, you didn't hear me? He was like, what do you, like, no, wait. He was like, we just got her, like, we just have a baby right now. He was like, let's give it about a year. And he was like, we have time. And she was like, no, I mean, I don't want to, going back and forth, but he was looking very like, wait, just wait a second. Now, this is when you are married to someone and you are making a decision. Now, he's telling you to hold on. I think you should take his request into consideration. I really do. Because if he's saying, hold on, yes, we want to have the babies, but let's just wait like a year. Let's just wait. And then and she was like, well, I guess the way that they want to have them, they would have to be back to back. I don't know if she could do that, but wait a year. Give your body some time to rest. You know what I'm saying? Like, get used to the child. Get used to the wait. Just wait. And he was looking very nervous. So, I feel like she better listen, because if the husband, y'all tell me, if you wanted to have more babies and your husband is like, it's the same way. If the husband is like, I want more babies, and she's like, let's wait a year, everybody would be on her side. Yes, because she's the one that's actually putting in the work. But that's what she was telling him. You're not doing anything. Yes, he is doing something. He's actually supportive. I mean, we don't see too many. What he was over there with the baby and the photo shoot, doing her dress, making sure, lift her up and all this other stuff. He's very much involved. It's not like he's a present absent person. So to tell somebody, let's just do this, and they're like, wait, I'm a part of this, like, I'm helping you, let's reconsider, let's just wait for a second. Y'all let me know, because again, like I said, if she was the one saying, I don't want to have the baby, and he was like, I want the baby, we would be like, listen to her. I feel like she should listen to him and just wait for a second. Just wait a second. And he didn't say no. He said, let's wait a year. So I feel like she should listen to him. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Teresa, we're at Teresa's house, and they're sitting down. Gia is there. They're talking about what happened with Melissa and the engagement party. And she said that Melissa was on her podcast talking about how they supported the girls when their mother was in jail. And Gabriella walks in, right? And we know Gabriella is like quiet. She doesn't say much. It's really Melania and Gia that have the most to say. But Adriana, have y'all seen Adriana? I was like, oh my God, so beautiful. That girl is beautiful. I was like, look at Adriana. God damn. Beautiful girl. She has really beautiful daughters. They're very beautiful. But Gabriella's sitting there, right? And she's usually the one that's quiet. For a long time, I thought Gabriella might have been on the spectrum, because I felt like they kept her kind of like in the background. Like, she didn't say much. She's very like just around and didn't say much, just cute with her little rosy cheeks, not much. But honey, she was like, and when she said it, she was like, it's just not true. I believe her. I was like, I don't have nothing, because she doesn't say much. And why would you put her on camera for her to just something out her mouth be a lie? She has her own mind. I believe her. So they said it's not true that they're lying. She says, and it's really hurtful, and it's really sad, because he is literally your only, outside of the daughters, he's literally your only family member. And Gabriella basically said they weren't there the way that they said they were there, and the only time they were there is when the cameras were rolling, and then they showed a clip. I was like, yikes. They showed a clip of them, like, and the way that the way that Melissa was looking in the clip, go back and watch the clip. The way she was looking, like, nervous, like, you're not really here, like the way that you acting like you're here. And they were like, it's just got to stop. The way that they act like they were so much there for the girls when Teresa was in jail or whatever. Basically, Melissa was saying that Joe needed someone to film with, so, they could make money while Teresa was in jail. He needed someone to film with, and it was us. Girl, we are tired of hearing about Melissa and Joe. They really have to stop. They have to stop. We need another storyline. Yes, we get the family drama. This is what really makes New Jersey special. But forget about it. Danielle and Melissa. Melissa invited Danielle over to her. She's doing some buying for her store. What is it called? Is it called On Display? I don't know the name of Melissa's store is, but she's doing some buying or whatever. And so she was saying, give me an update. She was like, I went to lunch with Jackie and Margaret, and I talked to Jackie, and she basically said, yeah, she was looking you up and down, said that your outfit was horrible. And she said that she feels like Jackie was jealous. I almost forgot about my tea. She said, like, Jackie was jealous and she was a judgy bitch. And so she was like, oh, okay. So I was right about not inviting her. Okay, fine, good. So then they get on Teresa. She was like, I don't want you to go through what I'm going through with my brother. I am the sister in this, in your situation with Joe and Teresa. Danielle says, I'm the sister. I have a brother, and I got into it with his future wife, now her sister-in-law, and something happened where she said her brother would make fun of her when he would see her on IG, would make fun of her. She didn't like it, so she blocked him. The brother got mad and called her and was like, why did you block me? And she was like, well, you make fun of me anyway, so it's not a big deal. So then something else happened, and she said that she told her brother, I see who I'm dealing with now, in reference to his now wife. And then he cut everybody off and took her out the wedding, said, you're no longer inviting to my wedding. And she was like, yeah, right. Like, she didn't believe him. And he doesn't talk to the mom. He doesn't talk to her. He only talks to the dad. So she was telling Melissa that sometimes I feel like it's the wife. And she was like, no. Melissa is like, it's not the wife. It is not always the wife. It's not always the sister-in-law. Sometimes it's the brother, and you have to allow him to be an adult and make his own decisions. It's him. You can only do so much. It's true. You can only do so much. The same way Louis with Teresa can only do so much. People are adults. They have their own minds. They can take your advice if they want to, but I don't have to. You can say what you want to say. Great. That's your opinion. I'm still going to do what the fuck I want to do. And that's it. It's been 2 years since she talked to her brother. She says it's the wife trying to blame the woman. And then that's when Melissa was like, it's not always the sister-in-law's fault. So Jennifer is at home. Let me tell you something. Bill Aiden, Dr. Bill Aiden, his ass, Nabil is his name. Nabil Aiden, okay? His ass is fine. I was like, Bill is really handsome. I said, Jennifer got her a nice looking husband. And he's rich. God damn. But he cheated on her. But anyways, she had to stay. She didn't have nowhere else to go. Over there like Ashley. At least he don't look like Michael. At least he's attractive. I mean, Bill is literally, I was looking at him when he walked into the the bar with the men, I was like, oh, he's attractive, really attractive. But anyways, they're talking to the kids, trying to tell them that they're going to have to start doing more chores. And he's basically like saying, yes, they need to do more chores. They need to become, self-sufficient and do their part and learn how to clean and do all these things. So she was like, her and Bill have different parenting styles. He's more like strict and she's more like, okay, well, that's great. You're doing great. And the girl's just vacuuming. And he was like, no, 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 you can't just vacuum. You need to vacuum it so you can make sure you getting stuff up and stuff like that. The boy is taking the laundry out. The other boy is washing dishes, right? Because he wants to have his friends over. And so she was like, are you guys going to clean up? And he was like, yeah, we're going to clean up. And she was like, not a sloppy cleanup, like a cleanup. He was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that's when she was like, we're going to give you an allowance. And she was like, what's minimum wage? $14. $14 is a lot. Them kids should be getting like $10, maybe $10 a week. $10 at the end of the week. Here you go. That's it, girl. No, maybe $5, maybe 20, because y'all got a little bit of money or whatever. Maybe 20. Give them 20 at the end of the week. Here are all your chores, right? Yeah. He was like, no, that's a little bit too much, right? So they sit down, her and Bill, and she's talking about Marge and how they got into it or whatever. And she's saying that Marge was trying to say that she wasn't self-reflective. And she was like, let me get your honest opinion. Do you think I'm self-reflective? He was like, oh God, here we go. And this is, to me, I feel like Jennifer's issue with Bill is that he doesn't go hard for her when it's time to back her up. He actually allows her to stand up as an adult woman and stand in her own shit. And I think when it's appropriate, Bill will step in, but you're an adult. And a lot of these things is not just the other person's fault. That's what being self-reflective means, is that you sit back and you say, yeah, I have to acknowledge my part in this. I have to say I was wrong as well. Like last season, you were sitting up there crying, and that's when Dolores told you, what are you crying about? When you were just curious about Jackie's husband, Evan. You were just curious, and this season you're just curious again. Your little busybody ass, you're wrong. You are wrong, and you have to take accountability for that. That's part of being self-reflective. Stepping outside of yourself and looking back at yourself and saying, I was wrong. I have to acknowledge my part. And I think Bill is like, you're not a baby. The same way Dolores is like, girl, you're not a baby. When you're right, you're right. When you're wrong, you're wrong. I will defend you, but I'm not going to be petting your hair, Jennifer Aiden. Grow the fuck up and self-reflect for real and acknowledge your part when you're wrong and move forward and apologize for your part. And she was like, I get mad at Bill because he doesn't always come to my defense. She said something about shut the fuck up. What'd she tell him? Shut the fuck up and defend me, speak up for me, or something like that, she was saying. But I feel like at the same time, in public, yes, united front. In private, I'm going to tell you, you were wrong. You know you was wrong, right? You know you done fucked up, right? That is, I felt like what was happening there. That was a private moment. Yes, the cameras were there. No other women were there. But he was telling her, you need to acknowledge your part. I think he was right. Honestly, I think he was right. But she says it comes off condescending. I don't think it comes off condescending. I don't. Y'all let me know the way that Bill handles Jennifer. How would do you have a problem with it? To me, I feel like he's just basically letting her stand in her shit. Because I mean, what do I need to defend? You're actually wrong. So I'm going to let you stand in your shit. If somebody gets out of line, then I'll step in. But going back and forth, when you are actually wrong, and I think you actually wrong, you're going to have to stand in your shit, big girl. Get your big girl panties on, okay? Really, and I think that's what how Dolores feels about Jennifer too. Anyway, so Valentina has a party. She missed her art show because of COVID, right? She missed her art show. So Danielle is having her parents over, and they're going to do her art show for her. They were like, go upstairs and make your grand entrance. So cute. She was just walking upstairs. So cute. So the parents come over, and I did not like the father saying he didn't want to take his shoes off. let me tell you something. If there are people who don't want to take their shoes off, then you should probably have like at your door, you should probably have like slippers for people to wear that are just for the house. You literally don't want people tracking dirt from the outside into your home and then walking into your, your sala and having them walk through the white rug on the floor. Neither parent took off their shoes. I don't agree. I feel like that's disrespectful. I just feel like it's disrespectful. But for people who don't want to take their shoes off, have something for them to slip their feet in so they don't have their shoes off, right? That's how I feel. But anyway, so she says that her parents got divorced when she was 8 years old. And when she had her son, she basically told them, if y'all want to be in my son's life, y'all can't be acting a fool all the time. You really can't. So she says, I promise, like her brother and her being at odds right now and not speaking, she was like, I promise that's not going to happen with my kids. Famous last words. You don't know what's going to happen with your children. Look at Teresa and Joe. Look at you and your brother. Look at me and my brother, right? Well, that's a different circumstance. He assaulted me. But in this case, it's probably repairable. What, your brother's making fun of you. You tell him, I see who I'm dealing with your wife, and he cuts y'all off. He don't talk to nobody but the dad. So they all sitting up there crying. The daddy is crying. The mama is crying. They're all crying. And she was like, I mean, he doesn't talk to me. We don't talk. So, she says, this is the first time my brother hasn't been at something that I had. I can't believe that in 2 years, this is the first thing you had and he's not been there, because y'all haven't been talking in 2 years. Maybe she misspoke. But that was into that scene. The little girl came down. She showed her art and who her art was inspired by. Very cute. We love the little cute kids. At Melissa and Joe's shore house, Melissa's mother and sister show up. Melissa's mother says she's dating or whatever. They sit down. They go outside. Melissa makes this salad. They go outside. They sit out. And then they start talking about Teresa. Shocker. They start talking about Teresa, and Melissa asked, were you invited to the wedding? Now, I'm sure Melissa has already knew that and just didn't tell Joe, and then waited to get on camera to ask her mother, were you invited to the wedding? Because the invitations came, right? And so I'm sure Melissa called her mother and was like, did you get your invitation? And she said no. But they waited till they got on camera to ask Joe, because Joe probably didn't know. Because the way he looked, he actually looked shocked. He was like, wait, like that don't even make sense. Now, I could see, like, how were they? Because Melissa and Joe were invited. She's just not in the wedding. Am I understanding that? Y'all let me know. But they didn't invite the mama. And I really think that was whack that she didn't invite the mom. And it's I think it's true, especially with the men we're talking about at the end. And an Italian family, they're very big on family, no matter if the family is at odds. You need to invite the people, sit them in the appropriate seats. Where you sit them says how you feel about them, like literally how you feel about them. You don't invite people. You are really saying, you're making a big statement. And Teresa knows that. Teresa knows that. Louis has made it worse. Made what worse? What did Louis make worse? She's not, it's really her. Like, y'all trying to blame Louis. It's her. She's making her decisions. Teresa is not a person that you can sway easy. I was going to say she's not a dumb person, but she does come off like a dingbat sometimes. But I feel like she's a person that if she says she wants to do something, she's a Taurus. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You're not going to change my mind. That's how I feel about it. I'm a grown ass woman. Same goes with everybody on the show, where it's like, it's weird because they're asking other adults to kind of like help them through things, where it's like, and tell them to do things. And it's like, we're adults. You can give me advice. You can offer your opinion, but you can't tell me what to do. That's it. So I really, truly believe that she should have invited the mom. I really do. Just because of how close she was to her father. They were really close, especially after the mother died. And she was always around, kind of supporting the dad and stuff like that. I feel like she should have invited her. So they have got guys' night. They're at this, I guess, a pool hall or whatever, bar or whatever. Frank orders his apple martini. I love that about Frank. I like Frank. I do. I really like Frank. I think he's a good sport. I think he's funny. I think he's quick with it. Like the way him and Paulie were going back and forth, he always has something to say, like real quick when he said, he told Joe, I got they got the high bar stools. I told him you wouldn't be able to. I told them you wouldn't be able to reach. I like Frank. I like Frank. I hope people are like, Frank just wants to be on the show. Frank should not leave the show. He is one of the guys' friends. And he's close to Dolores. I don't think Frank should leave the show. A lot of people are like, Frank shouldn't be on the show anymore. Dolores got her man. No, it just adds to the dynamic. I'm going to tell you, New Jersey is so special to me. Like, that is such a special dynamic we do not see on any of the other shows. You have Mauricio and PK. They're cool, but we don't have like 6 husbands. How many was it? It was Evan, Frank. Frank is an ex-husband. Joe, Bill, Frank, Joe, Bill. Who else? Fuda, what's his name? Looked like Joe Budden. He was there. Danielle, Rachel's husband, and somebody else. Louis. That's 7 people, 7 men. I think that's great. It really gives just a special thing to the show that they're able to have scenes with the men. I love it. I really love it. And when I was watching it last night, I was like, they all clocked in. All of them had something to say. Even Danielle and Rachel's husband had something to say about Italian families. And then the other husband, Danielle's husband, was like, when you get people together, they need to talk and this and that. They were really, I was like, okay, y'all are contributing to the show. Okay, let's go. That's what, to me, the entire dynamic, the family dynamics, as close as everybody are, it really has helped the show. And the fact that these 2 girls, their husbands are on the show and they're in the scene and they're delivering, they're not staying quiet. I love it. So, not Rachel. Yes, Rachel's husband. I'm getting Rachel. Rachel's the dark hair. Rachel's husband. He brings a gag gift, right? He brings adult diapers, Pepto-Bismol, and Tums for the men. And then Frank was like, I need all these things. So they said they're going to start drinking 2 shots. Everybody had 2 shots. Every time they come, bring 2 shots. Everybody had their drinks and stuff like that. Joe was talking about how Marge changed his shirt 3 times. She still dresses you? Yes, she does. I love it. I love this show. I do. Dolores. Paulie's not coming, right? Paulie's not coming. He says he wants Dolores. This is Frank saying that he wants Dolores to be happy, but Dolores is not home. She's not available as she used to be, which is understandable. He says he just wants her to be happy. He was like, I really like Paulie. Paulie, this is Joe Gorga. Paulie has a set of balls like a bull. They're just big. Girl, shut up. They're messing with Frank, because they're saying they like him, right? And, I really understood what Paulie was saying by saying, you should have come to me. Like, Dolores is going to tell me about your dynamics, but you as a man should have come to me and say, hey, this is my family. This is our family dynamic. I would definitely still like to be involved. I know y'all going to have boundaries, but just man to man, I don't want to be like pushed entirely out of Dolores's life and the way that we have our life set up here. So let's work together. Let's be cool and let's do this, for Dolores, So we'll see. So he didn't show up. So Louis gets there. Well, Bill gets there, and Louis, before Louis gets there, Bill tells Joe Gorga, I'm the brother-in-law Louis doesn't have. Bitch, I'm just trying to say it without laughing. He said, I'm the brother-in-law that Louis doesn't have. He was like, yeah, all right. So They get in, Louis comes in, they talking shit, right? He was like, I'm gonna tell him that he's a piece of shit and that he's garbage, right? But when Louis gets there, Louis comes in with his lobster Louis, with his red face and stuff like that. He sits at the table, he orders a drink or whatever. They're kind of quiet, right? So they, talking to Louis. Louis sits right next to Bill. Him and Bill are close. Jennifer and Teresa do, they hang out a lot together. So that's probably why Bill and Louis are close. I saw Bill like comforting Louis. He was leaning on Louis while he was talking to Joe. And then I saw Bill putting his hand on Louis's back, like, while they were into it. Bill was when they were arguing back and forth, when Joe and Louis were going back and forth, Bill was like in the middle, like trying to be like, no, 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 let's not question each other's manhood. We understand where you're coming from, but let's not do that and stuff like that, because he told him he was a pussy. Because basically he can't make it right. And it's really weird because Joe is doing to Louis what Teresa does to Melissa, trying to get the other person to change how the other person feels. This is another adult. And then Louis was like, so they were like, who, you're having a bachelor party? Who's coming? He was like, why? Like, who are you inviting? He was like, why are you asking me that? He was like, because, what did he say? Meet up at the end. Oh, so he was explaining that the husbands and the wives will go out separately and then meet up at the end. And all the husbands are like, meet up at the end of a bachelorette party? No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So Joe wanted to know, why wasn't Melissa's family invited? And he was like, what was the reason why they weren't invited? Somebody else asked that. He was like, it's not right. It's a slap in the face. Italian families are really big on that. You are really making a bold statement when you do that. And he was like, you're out there, your wife is out there on your podcast talking about my wife and talking about, if it wasn't up to y'all, the girls wouldn't have eaten. And he was like, no, that's not what we were saying. And this and that. He was like, listen, this is Louis. He was like, listen, I live with your nieces. I hear them talk, right? He was like, you are only hearing one side. I feel like when the kids start talking, you got to listen to them, because for so long they were small enough that they couldn't really contribute to the conversation because of their ages. But now they're older, and now they're like, okay. And that's why I feel like that's what happens in a lot of families. When the children get old enough to actually talk back, like for real, to actually say how they feel, people don't like that. They want them to be quiet and stay in a child's place and all this other stuff. I believe what the daughter said. I'm sorry, I believe it. He tells him, fuck you, right? And then he gets mad and he hits the table. Louis says, stop with the theatrics. Louis was not budging. He was not backing down. He was like, why you didn't invite my mother-in-law, this and that. And he was like, he goes, can you ask him to let me talk? Because Joe was just talking. So they was like, let him talk, Joe. So Louis goes, fellas, like he asked the guys, if Teresa's a 50-year-old woman getting married and she says, this is who I want at my wedding, who am I to say? I can only say you should invite them. If she turns around and says, no, I'm not going to invite them, I can't do nothing else. He was like, what would y'all say? They didn't really chime in, or they didn't show what they said or whatever. So they were like saying the older sister in an Italian family is supposed to make sure to keep the family together. He was like, I really wish you and your sister would talk. Y'all need to talk and this and that. And he was like, I don't want to talk because I don't want to get hurt. And you can hear Bill saying, we know you're hurt, Joe. We could tell. Because I think, what did Joe say? Joe said something and Bill was like, no, let's not say that. Like, Bill was actually in the middle. That's the reason why I love this show. None of the husbands are trying to perform, like, even though they're on that machismo thing with where husband's place, wife's place, and all this other stuff, they don't take themselves too seriously. They're not trying to perform this. They're not trying to perform masculinity. Like these other husbands are very like reserved around each other. They won't hug, but these men hug each other. They kiss each other, and that's culture with them, right? But I love that. I love to see it. I love to see it. He says he doesn't want to waste Teresa's time, and he's pretty much done with it or whatever. So we're going to see if they're going to talk. We see in the next episode, Louis and Teresa are on, well, Teresa's on the phone with Joe, and Louis is writing down things for her to say. Girl, I was like, Teresa is a mess. Anyways, y'all, that was the end of the episode. Y'all let me know what you think of the episode. I enjoyed it. I felt like it was complete. Everybody had a scene. Everybody was there. So we're going to see what's going to happen next week, because I think Rachel and Jennifer, I can't wait. And they said that Jennifer went to Jennifer Fleshler, because I keep calling her Flesher, but it's Fessler. Somebody corrected me in the comments. I keep putting FL instead of FE. Fessler. But Jennifer went to her, the other Jennifer, and was talking about Margaret. And they were like, why would you do that? That's a close friend of mine. You know she's going to come back and tell me. So we're going to see how that goes, because Rachel gets into Jennifer's face and I guess tells her to be quiet or something. She does something. So we're going to see. Anyways, it was a good episode. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. Let's get down in the comments. Peace.